Aloha, everyone, and welcome back to Living Empowers Today's Reframing Your Mind Coaching Series. I'm Susan, your ASD Master Coach, growing in self-acceptance of my own ASD traits, just like you. So in this series, we're exploring what cognitive distortions are, how they develop, and their impact on our daily lives. Today's episode focuses on personalization and self-blame. Breaking free from self-blame, how personalization holds you back, and how to stop it. So, have you ever blamed yourself for things beyond your control? I have. And it made me feel as if I were responsible for how other people responded or reacted. Okay. And so we're going to unpack this distortion and learn how to set healthy boundaries and letting go of self-blame. So personalization happens when we take excessive responsibility for things that aren't entirely in our control. Say, we could be blaming ourselves for someone else's bad mood, or believing that if something goes wrong, it's automatically our fault. Now, for level 1 autistic adults, this often ties into past experiences of being misunderstood or unfairly blamed. Now, where would this happen? In our family of origin, right? From a child, I don't know about you, but I can remember feeling guilty about everything. And when people responded in a certain way, I I took on the blame, even though it was something out of my control, just because I happened to be around it or the accident happened while I was there. Um, you know, I was unfairly blamed quite often. And so this trained me to be responsible for other people's reactions, responsible for things that happened around me that just happened to be a coincidence that I was there. And so, I took the blame. I don't know about you, but back in the 60s, um, often uh, our explanations weren't accepted, and we got spanked, we got punished. So, you can also imagine a friend cancels their plans last minute. Happens a lot. And, we really don't like change. I'll be honest with you, that really gets me triggered a bit and frustrated and short tempered. And so you could immediately assume that maybe they're upset with you. Been there too. And that all relies on where your mindset is, because in reality, they may have had a long day or an emergency where they couldn't come get you or whatever on a certain amount of time. But the personalization convinces you that you did something wrong when, you didn't. So, what the challenges for this is that it can really lead to chronic guilt, where people are always guilty. Oh, I'm sorry for this. Oh, I'm sorry I did that. I'm sorry I shouldn't have did this. And then you over process all of this in your head. um it creates more stress, and then the fear of making any mistakes at all. Perfectionism comes in here. So over time, it creates a cycle of over apologizing and difficulty advocating for yourself. And if you're a child, a lot of parents and teachers in society, they don't want to hear your side of the story. They just automatically think you're lying, or you're over exaggerating, or they don't see children as able to advocate for themselves. And so we grow up with this same mentality and fear of advocating and speaking up for ourselves and setting boundaries and realizing that it's okay to make mistakes. And this can go on through our whole life, affecting every relationship that we have. So the way to reframe this, and this is the same reframing strategy that we've been using from day one, you want to get used to asking yourself, what evidence do I have that this is my fault? And, you sit down, you brainstorm, and you think about it, you write down everything, and then you ask yourself, but really, am I to blame for that? If the answer is no, you go to the next one. Am I to blame for that? No. So chances are you get to see that just because something happened doesn't mean that you're at fault. And so you want to use self-compassion again, because we're talking about this throughout this whole series as well. Recognize that you are not responsible for other people's emotions. And when I mention this from your family of origin, if you are in a dysfunctional family, whether there's domestic abuse, um, other types of abuse, narcissistic abuse is what I was trying to think of, where these type of abuses inside your home, tell you to not tell anybody these things. Don't share what happens outside. Don't share it with a therapist. Don't share it with a counselor. Definitely don't share it with any friends, and don't share it with any strangers. Just hold it all in and realize that we're doing it because we love you. And maybe they do, but they don't know any better either. They're just perpetuating a cycle of abuses and emotional neglect that happen to them. And they don't know how to break free of the cycle either. So, but you can, by recognizing that you're not responsible for others' emotions, and stop walking on eggshells. Easier said than done, especially if it's your parents. But if you're in a relationship, you have the right to set those boundaries. Okay. Next, you want to practice an external perspective. Again, if this happened to someone else, would I hold them responsible? Chances are you wouldn't. You would give them what? Compassion, right? So you want to use self-compassion on yourself again. I recognize that you're not responsible for other emotions. Again, I'm going to keep saying that because you're not. Keep telling yourself, I am not responsible for how someone responds. That is their own emotional management. Just because I'm autistic doesn't mean I'm being erratic or I'm being unreasonable by not accepting something that I'm not responsible for. You want to treat yourself with the same kindness. So recognizing and embracing positive experiences builds confidence and resilience in you. And so you want to release unnecessary guilt so you can create space for self-acceptance and healthier relationships. Because if you don't, you're going to say you're looking to find a life partner, today, who kind of isn't. And you have this behavior of accepting guilt that other people behaviors. So if your partner raises their voice or seems upset, you dysregulate. You go back to the space of cowering, walking on eggshells maybe, and taking all the blame for something someone else did. And this perpetuates a cycle of unhealthy relationships. And it also trains your partner that they can gaslight you and get away with this. And it also keeps them from recognizing their part and growing in the relationship with you. Because by being in a relationship doesn't mean you found the perfect person. Maybe you found the greatest person that matches your values and your personality. But you also have to remember that this person also has their little foibles. They also have things that they're bringing from their family of origin. And so they have to be just as responsible as you in letting go of things that aren't their fault, and then taking accountability for things that are on their plate. So next up, we'll discuss emotional reasoning when our feelings distort reality. And if this episode today resonates with you, drop a comment down below and share your thoughts. What's been helping you? Remember, you are not your thoughts. They are just that, thoughts. Let's support each other through this. Your likes, shares, and subscriptions are always appreciated for building our community together. And remember, every moment is a chance to see things differently from a different perspective. Grab the daily thought tracker at the link because practice makes change daily. See you next time. Aloha.